Hey there, today I'm going to show you how to draw Darkrai from Pokemon. So we're going to start with the neck call, the spiky neck call that goes around the head, starting in the middle. We're going to go up from the left to the middle, and then come down on the right. So there's a slight curve going up towards the middle. From here we're going to do an overlap, going up with a straight line, diagonally to the left, and we're going to curve down to the bottom. We're going to go to the right side and do the same thing. So going up at an angle to the right, and then curving down. Now we're going to just go back left and right just to make sure we're balancing it out as we go along. So we kind of want to create this sort of loop patterns, okay? So we're going to go around the head. So again, we're going to do another overlap here on the left, go up in an angle, and then curve down. Let's go to the right side and do the same thing. So about halfway down this curve, we'll go up in an angle, making sure we're around the same height, and then curve down. Kind of looks like a row of teeth. Go back up on the left side here, go up in an angle, so straight line, and we're going to curve down. On the right side we'll do the same thing, going up and then curving down. Now the final set, we're going to do an overlap on the opposite side here, but we're going to curve upwards and in. So go to the right side and do the same thing, so curving up and outwards. From here we're going to curve out around that last sort of tooth or that last spike on both sides. And then we're going to curve in towards the center point here, but along the way we got these two little spikes that come down. So on the left side I'm just going to curve around the bottom, so going around the bottom row of spikes. On the right I'll do the same thing, so coming around here, and then we're going to draw a spike. So on the left we're going to curve down, and we're going to curve back up, creating a little spike. On the right side let's do the same thing, so coming down and then going back up. We're going to come down to a point in the center here. So coming in with a slight curve, we'll go to the right side and do the same thing. Okay, so now that we got that in place, because we're drawing this in first because it gets drawn on top of the face. So let's get into the face now. So we're going to draw that sort of wispy hair and the bangs that come down. So right on the side here, I'm going to draw a curve coming down, and we're going to curve up. We're going to draw another bang coming down. So a smaller one coming down, and we'll just come up slightly higher, just around here. And then from this point, we're going to curve up along the top edge of the eye. From here, let's go in and draw a little curve coming in, going back out, and then one final one is coming down, and we'll just pull that in behind that spike there. Now here, at this point here, we're going to curve the bottom of the eye. So doing sort of like a half circle, and it curves underneath that hair bang there. We're going to thicken this up. We're going to make this 2 or 3 times thicker along the bottom edge. Okay, so now that we got that, let's draw the pupil. So basically it's an elongated oval. So we're just going to draw a little tiny oval like that. We got this draw on the hair, so the big wispy hair that comes up. From this point, I'm going to curve in and across. Now we're going to do an overlap here. And basically a series of like little curves. Okay, so we're going to do one curve up. We're going to do a curve in. Now I'm going to go in the opposite direction, going out, and we're going to go up with the curve, and then we're going to come in. So it's not a nice smooth curve all the way around, it sort of breaks in sort of pieces. From this point, I'm going to do an overlap and do a curve going up, and I'm making my way to the tip. So from here I'm just going to curve down to the tip like that. Let's go to this side here. Now this bang here kind of goes in behind that spike. I'm going to continue this behind that spike, going up and in. Now as I go up, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller as I get towards the tip. From here I'm going to go up and come across and in. Now I'm going to do a slight overlap here, going across. I'll do a small little in like this, go in the opposite direction. Now I'm getting a little bit smaller as I get towards the tip here, but as I go in, I'm going to create almost like a little barb. So I'm coming in, I'm going to go back, and then I'm going to go into that tip like that. Okay, so we got the head. Let's finish off the back side of this neck. So this collar, I'm going to go back down here and do an overlap and curve this in behind the head there. Over on the right side, I'll do the same thing. So curving around. Now there's a large sort of collar that goes around the body. So actually this is probably the upper torso. And it comes down to about here. So what I want to do is I want to take this side. So I'm going to go up above this spike here. Right about here, I'm going to curve down to a center point. So right about here, and it goes in a little bit small. So it gets smaller as it goes to the back. So let's do the same thing on the right side. So it goes out, so it gets a little bit wider. Now from these 2 points, I'm going to do a hard turn into like a half circle here. So starting on the left, I'm going to do a curve. So you can see that there's a point right there. And curve this up and just make my way up to that point on the right side. Let's get down towards the body. Now there's a little sort of like the spring thing in the middle of the torso here. So here's the center. On the left side here, I'm just going to draw a curve coming in like that. On the right, I'll do the same thing. Now I want to pull these in just enough so I can do an overlap to the bottom part of his cloak. So the cloak is going to come down probably about here. It's quite wide. So I'm going to do an overlap here on the left side, curve down on the left, and a curve down towards the right at the same length. So curving down, so equally balanced out. Now there's going to be a series of points that come down to one large one in the center. So I'm going to go to the center point here and draw a point. From here I want to curve up to the left. So it's got a slight curve going up, and then on the right I'm going to do the same thing. So curving in. Now from here I want to do a series of overlaps. So there's probably about 4 spikes on either side. So I just want to sort of space this out. So using my fingers, I'm sort of gauging where I want to put these spikes. So from here I'm going to do an overlap, curving down, and curve up. Now I'm going to continue this. I'm going to do an overlap here, coming down. Again, remember I want to do 4 spikes here, so I'm just spacing these out. Do another overlap here. And then now I just want to come up about halfway in between from this line to that line. And then here, I'm just going to tuck that in behind there. Let's take that and draw the exact same thing on the right. So from here, curve down to the first spike and curve up. Go to the second one. Do an overlap and curve up. And again, we don't have to match the length of these overlaps here. It can be varying lengths. Let's do the third, curving up, and then finally do an overlap here to that tip on the right. Okay, so we got the main part of the body. Let's get into the arms. Starting with the one on the left. Now there's an arm that comes down, so I'm going to draw the arms going out, down, and then these shoulder streamers that kind of come up. So I'm going to have to draw the arms in first. So if the shoulder were up here, it goes down to the elbow. But up here, I'm going to do a slight gap. So there's going to be a gap here. I'm going to come down in an angle like that. Let's draw in the little spikes behind the arms. So from this point, I'll curve up, curve back down. I'm going to draw 3 of these. So 3 identical spikes. So it's curving upwards and then curving back. From here, let's draw the forearm. So it's going to come down towards the claws, which I'll draw probably about here. So from this point, I'm going to curve down to the 3rd finger. Now the fingers are going to sort of overlap each other. So from here, I'm going to do an overlap, curving down to the next knuckle. And from here, I'm going to do a hard turn in towards the first finger. From here, I'm going to do an overlap. Now this is the first claw. Turn in and curve around. Okay, so this is the first claw here. Let's draw the thumb. So I'm going to do an overlap here and draw the opposite direction. From this point, I'm going to curve up. And then from here, I'm just going to draw a slight curve in. Now the forearm is quite wide, and it gets down to a very thin elbow. So from this point, I want to come up to this area here with a curve. From here, I'm going to do an overlap and just tuck this curve in underneath that body. Let's draw in that big wispy streamer up here. So this is sort of like a random sort of shape that comes out of the arm. So here I left a little gap. So I'm going to start up here and draw a curve. This is sort of like how I drew in the top wispy hair. Let's take that curve and go in. Do an overlap, coming out. Now this could be almost any shape you want. I'm just going to draw it this way. So going up and then curving in. From here, I'm going to go up with an overlap. Now this, I want to do a similar thing here. I want to draw a little, sort of like a spiky barb. So coming in and going out to a longer one. Now I'm going to get wider as I come down. So it's going to get wider, come in, go in the opposite direction, curve around. Now from here, I'm just going to bring this right in behind that arm. Okay, so we got that. Let's take that thing and draw the exact same thing on this side. So we're going to start at the same point at the back of the arm here. So starting up here, and curve down. Let's draw those 3 spikes. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to go and work our way down to that 3rd finger. So curving down, it's about the same height. Let's do an overlap. And pull this into that first claw. Do an overlap here. And then to that point of the finger. Now from this point, I'm going to curve in towards the thumb. We'll do an overlap, curving the opposite direction for the thumb. Curve to the knuckle. Now we're working our way back here. So coming in, we're going to curve into a very thin elbow joint. So curving in like that. We'll do an overlap and just bring that right into the elbow. Let's take that arm piece and just draw the same thing up here. So starting with this line, curve up, we'll curve down. We'll do an overlap here, curve up. Now I'm just following. Basically all I'm doing is just mirroring exactly what I see on the right side. So from here, curving in. Now we're going to do an overlap here. Draw that first spike, bring it back, and go to a long spike, and bring this down. We're going to bring this across. Go in the opposite direction now. So going up, and down, and then I'm just going to tuck this in and probably go in behind that spike. Just carry it on behind there. The final part is the tail. So there's a tail in the back here. Again, it's a very similar shape to these streamers and the wispy hair. So if this is center point, this is where the tail would start to go in the back this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a curve in the back. Let's close that off a little bit. From here, I'm going to bring this across this way. Now this is the top of the tail. It's kind of curving. You have to imagine this going behind the body, behind the arm, and then from here I'm just going to flick it up at the end, bring it back, and do another smaller point. And I'm just going to bring this back behind the arm. It's going to continue on this way, come down in the opposite direction, and then just tuck that in behind the body. And there it is. There we have it. There's Darkrai from Pokemon. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Please give us a like and share this with your friends. And make sure you check out our Pokemon playlist. I have a ton of characters in there. I add more every Tuesday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.